crew. We're ready to groove. Opinions flying high. Come on, let's move. Hang out all night long, all night. Laughing and debating, playing our song. Oh yeah. Share your thoughts, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Operation Hangout, let's reach for the sky. Let's fly. Pull up a chair, let's get in the zone. Voices blending smooth like a funky trombone. Oh yeah. Topics from the heart, making us think. With a twist and a shout, raise up your drink. Cheers! Hang out all night long, all night. Laughing and debating, playing our song. Oh yeah. Share your thoughts, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Operation Hangout, let's reach for the sky. Let's fly. Bring it down, shake it up, feel the beat. With every word we share, the circle's complete. Living loud, think it proud, that's what we do. Oh yeah. Join the club, come on through, we're waiting for you. Alright. Hang out all night long, all night. Laughing and debating, playing our song. Oh yeah. Share your thoughts, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Operation Hangout, let's reach for the sky. Let's fly. Hang out.
What is going on, everybody? We're back at it, another stream, another live. You know where you're at. You're at Spartan Institute Network. I'm your host, the Spartan, aka Peter. So tonight, we have a versus going on in our hands. Batman versus the Punisher. One has a no-kill rule, but the Punisher has a war on crime rule. Let's see who is actually going to win this battle. But let's do a little house cleaning. We got Greg in the comments saying, please hit the like, share, subscribe. Yes, that is correct. Make sure you hit the like, share, subscribe. Eric, my man, is it, help? I think you mean hello. He's also saying, watching the fight on Netflix as well as waiting for Peter to start. Of course, I'm here, my man. Of course, I gotta get this guy in here from the other side of the world, from the UK.
A new subscriber.
Oops, wrong button. There we go.
God, you like making me look like a spaz, don't you?
You're useless for something. All right, brother.
How you doing, old man? Is that a new wrinkle I can see on your forehead?
Keep talking shit over there. Keep talking shit. Because when I shove the toothbrush up your ass, you see what happens.
I might enjoy it. You know that.
No. I can't win with you, man. I just can't win with you. Yeah. Anyway, Batman versus Punisher. Who's your money on?
Batman. I don't know much about the Punisher. I never watched the movie. The cartoons I kind of found them boring.
Okay. I think you're wrong because they have both of them have different rules in engagement their opponents. Yeah. Batman has no kill rule. Can we agree?
Batman has no kill rule?
Yes.
Not necessarily, because he has killed people.
In the earlier editions of comic books, yes. When Batman first came on the scene in the Batman comic book world, I want to say Batman world. In the comic book world, he actually had a firearm. He used to carry a gun
Oh,
one time. So yes, but we're talking about the modern age Batman.
Mm.
He has killed by accident,
okay.
not on purpose ever. He didn't go out his way saying, "Hey, I'm gonna throw you off this roof and murder you." No, that was never his intentions. His intention is always, "I'm gonna beat you to the pulp. You're gonna talk or not talk. That's a different story. But I'm gonna beat you to the pulp till you talk." But with the Punisher, it's a different rule. He has what they call
That's better.
war on crime rule, meaning I'm gonna blow you in pieces. You talk or not, I'm gonna torture you one way or the other.
Yeah.
Like in the movies, 2000. Oh man, what year is that movie? 2004 or 2005, I think was it? No, it was further than that. Hang on, I'll tell you right now. Movies.
Sorry.
Are you good? Where's the list? 2004. This movie came out.
Yeah.
And the way this Punisher was
Yeah.
captured on screen, it was perfect. I cannot see any other person capture him as well as a movie, not a show, as a movie. Because I think it was one of the best Punisher movies ever made, personally.
Ouch. That's hot. Yeah, I'm not
Boys.
really. I've never been a fan of Punisher. I could never really get into the movies. I did watch a little bit of it, of the first one, very first one, and I thought it was boring.
Which one?
I can't remember. It was so long ago.
Because they have a couple of Punisher movies. They had in 1984, I want to say. The line, but I can't remember his name. He played the Russian.
It was in the
Yeah.
2000s.
Okay, you're talking about 04. You're talking about or 08. Punisher Warzone.
I have no idea. It was called The Punisher. That was it. That's all I remember.
04. That's literally the best one out there.
I found it boring, but as I said, I preferred the Batman movies. Can't say much on the cartoon because I kind of got bored with the cartoons. I never had the comics of Batman growing up, but I liked and enjoyed all the movies, and I mean all of the movies. I did enjoy the TV series. Was it the 1950s, 1960s Batman? Batman and Robin?
Yeah, something in the 50s, something like that.
Yeah, I did enjoy them because they were actually quite clean. Especially when I went to punch someone in the face, it went bang and kablow or whatever the fuck it is.
Okay, here's the full list. Okay, so Punisher, first movie came out in 1989 with Dove Langford. I can't pronounce his fucking name. I'm sorry?
Sorry, I found it funny. Can't pronounce his name. I can't pronounce names half the time, but I still laugh at myself.
In 04, Thomas Jane, did the first current Punisher, and then in 2024, 2012, I'm sorry, they did a film with the same actor called The Punisher Dirty Laundry. It's actually a very good little short film. Then Punisher Warzone was in 08 with Ray Stevenson. Obviously he has passed, unfortunately. Those are the three movie Punishers. But we also have a Punisher in the I'm trying to put the words together now. Series. It's a very good series. It started on Netflix. Then when Disney bought the rights, they kind of put it to bed, but they brought it back recently, called One Last Kill.
Yeah.
The cast is incredible. Actually, if I can find the cast right now, here it is. The guy's name is John Bentel. I might pronounce that right. He played in The Walking Dead, actually, the first few seasons. Very, very, very good actor. He's probably top up there. Now,
who was the actor who played You were on about who played in the Walking Dead?
John Ben Trell. I might be pronouncing that right. He played the man. I can't remember his name now. The Walking Dead main character. Shit.
What was it? John Ben.
Hang on a second. I'll tell you right now. Exactly.
Just pull up a picture. Pull up a picture. And I'll probably recognize him.
Okay, you remember Rick, who was the main character in Walking
Yep.
Dead?
Yep.
Remember in the first couple seasons, maybe 2, 3, maybe 4. It was like he had his partner, the other cop, was his best friend.
Oh yeah.
That's the guy who plays the Punisher now.
Okay. Yep. I know what you're in about.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
very,
in
very
the
good
end of season
actors.
3.
Yeah. So
Sorry,
with
Liam.
Batman, you have a lot. You got a little more material with Batman. Batman has shitload of material. So Batman first came on the scene in I remember what was the first comic book. I'm gonna look it up right now. First comic came out in 1939 in Detective Comics 27. So when he
Damn.
first came on the scene, he was very, very dark. He wasn't the Batman that we know now. He did commit crimes. He did commit murder. He did carry a weapon.
Yeah.
So it was a different Batman that we're used to seeing now. So over the years, Batman changed. And also we have a comment really fast. John Banner is a great actor, but his Punisher is getting worse, and I can't disagree with that. But it would be worth writing for us, and it's true. Like he's not the greatest, one of the greatest now. But when it was on Netflix, it was a lot better. I think
Yeah.
10 times better. So it is one of those things. If that makes sense.
Yep.
So does it make sense what I'm saying or no?
I do
So,
understand what you're saying.
So Batman has a lot of stuff from TV shows and
But did the
movie.
Punisher have like a bat cave or some sort of thing where he go and hid all this stuff and his weapons and all that sort of shit?
what
Secret hideout. Like Batman did.
So with Batman, he had so the difference about Batman and Punisher, Batman makes his equipment because he's filthy fucking rich.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And he has the
what was
Batcave and all that stuff. Now
Yeah, what was it?
what-
Alfred in the first one actually built the cars in the first one. The very first Batman movie from 1989, I believe it was. 1988 or 89. The first one with the Joker.
I don't think so.
It's the
not-
same guy. The guy who plays Batman is the same guy who plays Beetlejuice. Don't know
Yeah, I
his
know.
name.
I know the actor. I'm not denying that.
Yeah, because it actually says he is a hell of a mechanic. That's what I do remember.
He only assisted him, actually, not built it. He assisted him to build the
Okay.
Batmobile.
Okay, my mistake then.
No, you're good. So before we go on, let's get this guy in here. So of course, I gotta get his intro because he gets a kick out of this.
I think I just had my eyes blinded by a black man.
Shut up, man. I just shaved. That's why. Shut up, Craig.
That's why it's so bloody shiny. I
Yeah,
keep telling you to use
exactly.
sandpaper.
2 days ago. What's
Anton, what's going on, my man?
nothing
Big
much.
up, Antone.
So we're talking about Batman versus Punisher. Who's your money on? Mine's the money's on Punisher.
I'm taking the Dark Knight.
Really?
taking-
You think the Dark Knight went over the Punisher,
Yeah.
even with no kill rule.
Yeah, I know. And that's discipline. For him to have that no kill rule, that's discipline.
Okay, I want to hear why you think the Batman's going over the Punisher when the Punisher just use an RPG and blow the fucking shit out of him.
Because Batman will always find a way to get around that.
Oh, come on. Yeah, can be better than that. As a military person, you're going against your Green Berets.
I'm going. I can't. Nothing against Frank Castle. Respect and everything else. This dude got an arsenal like I don't know what, but
He's got unlimited everything, innit?
yeah, he does. But Batman, with the money he has and the R&D budget for all his toys,
That
the
guy can
fact
have
that he's
some
in,
fun.
the fact that he's in shape like no other, the fact that he has a plan for a plan for a plan. It's hard. It's hard to go against the Dark Knight. It really is. It's hard to not
We have a
pick.
comment really fast. I want to actually bring this up. Batman is more effective. Joker is his only
Achilles heel.
Achilles heel.
Ooh.
Punisher is effective too, but others heroes from the Marvels cannot stop him.
Can
With
stop
Batman,
him.
hero wants him to join him.
That's true.
That is a good point.
That is. And also, you got to remember, Batman has the one thing that he's the only one that knows about: sub-level 7.
Please
And
explain for the viewers who don't know what that is.
sub-level 7 is his own personal library.
Its own piggy bank.
More than just that, Craig.
It's his own piggy bank of flaming
It's not
digital
a
stuff.
piggy bank. It's his own personal library on the weakness of every member of the Justice League, as well as the Rogues Gallery, the Justice Lords, and everybody else. Not even Alfred has access to it. That's how serious and dedicated Bruce is to his craft.
Mhm.
The fact that not even Alfred, of all people, has access to sub-level 7, that's telling you something. But also,
All right, guys, really fast before we move on, I have dropped a link. If you guys want to join us, please be filled with the rules are very simple. I already posted the one set of rules, but the major rules I want you guys to keep in mind. If you do come out on camera, please, no smoking on camera, no eating on camera. Please dress appropriately. Nobody's want to see that shit. And please make sure your camera's on and your mic must be on. If I don't see you in the background, I don't know who you are, you're not coming on. Very simple. As a very few people, I will make an exception, but I have to know who you are before I put you on the air. And the other rules are obviously very brief. I'm going to put them on the screen here, read them in your delight. But very simple. No verbal, no verbal threat, sexual, or racism on my channel, because I will beat the crap out of you and get you out of here. Simple as that. Okay, thank you. Public announcement of a Spartan, it's you network. Thank you very much.
God, I love that guy.
I approve this message, by the way.
there you go.
Yeah.
Ooh, honey.
But,
Go ahead.
all right, when you have to look at what Batman has done, look what he has used his trauma to be his weapon. He used his trauma watching what happened to his parents to motivate him to do something that most people never thought was even possible. And at the same time, you look at everyone in the family that he's helped basically create. Look at the people that are part of the family: Alfred Pennyworth, Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, Tim Drake, Stephanie Brown, Barbara Gordon, Lucius Fox, Luke Fox, Selena Kyle, Damian Wayans. All of them, in one way, shape, or form, all leads back to one Bruce Wayne. If it wasn't for Bruce Wayne for being Batman, you wouldn't have Robin, who became Nightwing. You wouldn't have Robin, who became Red Hood. You wouldn't have Robin, who became Red Robin. You wouldn't have his son. You wouldn't have Batgirl. You wouldn't have Batwoman. You wouldn't have Catwoman. You wouldn't have Batwing. And so on and so forth. Luke Fox is Batwing.
I know who Luke Fox is.
You tell her.
But if you, I mean, all of them, all leads back to Bruce
All his
Wayne.
family are losers.
Say again.
You heard me.
You want to come on and have this debate?
No,
Yeah, come on.
Come on.
Come
You
on.
wanna come on?
no, you know how I feel about Batman.
Tell her I'm Megan her on. Come on.
I want you to come on.
I'm very disappointed because I'm not.
Oh God.
She's your wife, dude. I want to hear it.
Yo, but honestly, she does. I mean, I would like to hear. I really would like to hear her argument. We're picking who you select, Batman or the Punisher.
Okay. Batman. And I vomited in my mouth with this.
Oh God. Oh God. Oh man, she's picking the Dark Knight, but she's very reluctant to go with Batman.
Again, I know most of you guys are still a fan of Batman. Like the last comment said, Batman took down Superman. Punisher cannot take down
Thanos or Apocalypse.
Apocalypse. Okay, yeah, I'll give you that, dude. But you know what? End of the day,
Apocalypse.
that's completely out of his league. That's number one. He doesn't have the kind of bad guys he fights. Let's be straight up here. I know that I'm using it as a crutch, but it's in a way it is. But if you put him against one of these guys,
Uh-huh.
Like he did.
he's gonna bring every arsenal out of his pocket, and he has a pretty decent arsenal. Let's be honest here, dude.
And he was right.
Mm,
Come on, dude. As an army guy, you know what kind of weapons you guys have,
yeah, that's true.
and Grimboy is having more of what you ever played with,
Yeah, they do. They got some real nice toys you hear about, and you're like,
and toys you have never heard about.
exactly. Like word gets around the barracks, like, oh, look at you hear about the toys they got? Yeah, they're concepts, but they get to play with them.
I do got a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Have you ever been to Area 51?
I've been to Nevada.
No, I meant into Area 51 as you're a military guy.
No, I
Number
haven't.
one.
It is not high enough.
Hang on, Greg. If he ever did go to Area 51,
I can't acknowledge it.
he went on the 51 because that's above top secret classification, and he's not stupid enough to say it on air.
I can't confirm or deny it either. You crazy?
Oh,
Not me. Tell this knucklehead that.
Craig, I still have my security clearance. Okay. There's some things that I have seen I cannot repeat.
can we have some fun?
Yeah.
I'll put it this way, bro. If he didn't, let's say he said he served as whatever in Area 51. By the time he said that, he's gonna get a knock on the door. He's gonna be coming home like, turn around.
Or worse, they'll just turn the power off and next thing all of a sudden the lights come back on and you're not gonna see me here.
Or my favorite one is the lights will go off. He's gonna be off the show, and lights are gonna be on, and people are gonna be in his apartment and or house or whatever you live in, and there'll be, military guys in all black, covered face, and 3 men in black suits with sunglasses standing like this and going like, "Honey, I fucked up again." The first thing he's gonna say to his wife. I put it this way: if I were ever served and I blabber something out in public on air, and that happened to me, and I was at my girlfriend's house over here, and she was next to me, she's gonna turn around like, "You're a fucking idiot."
Mm-hmm. Plain and simple.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. But yes, Frank Castle does have access to stuff. A good amount of stuff.
Listen, Batman, a lot of his suits are high hard strength technological suits, like the Batman Beyond suit. So it's high tech. There's one weapon he can use, Frank Castle, that nobody ever thinks about he's going to use, but he will use if he has to.
Mm-hmm.
EMP.
Yes, right.
If Bruce Wayne's finding a Punisher, he throws an EMP at his ass. What gets fried in time? Because I'm not the smartest Greek in the world. Sometimes, what happens? Because I'm kind of dumb here right now.
Basically, anything electronical goes dead, and
Fries
it's an oversized paperweight.
So do me a favor for our viewership, because you're my military expert right now on the air. What does EMP stand for? Please help us here.
Electromagnetic pulse.
Thank you, Greg. I didn't say you. I asked our military guy.
Love you too.
So, Anton, when the electromagnetic pulse goes, it fries everything, right?
Yeah, literally.
So they make them as small tennis balls, correct?
Yeah.
Like a little baby grenades, almost. Think of it, right?
A little disc or anything, things like that.
Yeah.
Once
Like the things you saw in Call of Duty games, that like they throw a grenade and you pick a smart bomb. You can pick the different settings, what it is, a stun, whatever. I'm not saying it's like that, but it could be something similar to that. But when again, you're a Batman lover here, all right? I think you want to bend him over and make some love with him. But my Punisher,
Anton, I didn't think you thought that way.
Yo.
my Punisher, my boy, is going to throw an AMP at your Batman. And what happens to all his toys?
Like I said, it's one big paperweight. Everything.
Oh, okay. And now we'll go ahead. Let's say now they strip the gears down. They're going to hand-to-hand combat, right?
Mhm.
Batman is trained into the martial arts. Great. I'm a fan of martial arts because I'm a martial artist myself, right?
Yes, I am. Same here.
But Friends Castle is also trained with multiple martial arts, not one, not two, but multiple on Friends Castle. So what happens when a Green Beret goes hand in hand with somebody who only knows martial arts, Anton?
Oh, it's going to be a long night.
It's going to be a bit of fun.
Yeah, and neither side's going to want to quit.
So I'll give you to change your answer now.
No, because if Batman lost all of his digital equipment, he still has a lot of equipment that does not require electrical stuff.
Like what?
That little boomerang thing that he has.
The Batarang.
He has bulletproof fucking armor. Spikes in his fucking arms.
Punisher
The gauntlets.
Punisher has bulletproof armor too. So the spikes. So I have a solution to that.
Batman has the smoke grenades.
Punisher has them too.
Meh. Not night vision because that'd be fried.
Yes, that's true. That is true.
But meh.
It's gonna be one of those fights that's.
It's what happens when a rock hits another rock.
And I get what you're saying there. I'm not disagreeing with that. But you're talking about a small rock versus a fucking boulder here. When his tech goes down, it will go down. Yes, he's going to have Batman some gear on his bat suit. But Friends Castle is trained to survive everything, even pain.
Yeah,
Think about that.
Yeah,
If Mandrell was on, I bet you 100 to 10. He's going to say Punisher is better, and he's going to break it down to you. Why the Punisher is going to break it. He's an actual Green Beret, if you remember.
I thought he was a Marine Raider.
What?
Frank Castle. I thought he was in the Marines.
It really depends which version of a comic book are you reading, too, I think.
Okay.
Actually, I'm going to look it up as we're talking because I'm maybe wrong on that one because I'm not always right.
Well, I heard about this is probably going to be the last season of the series.
Yeah, it's the last Kill the Quote.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And what was the reason why this is going to be the last season?
I really don't know.
Rumor has it, from what I heard from a friend of mine, it has to do with this.
Money?
Yeah.
I won't be surprised.
That's you? Okay.
I like that
That was
tune.
me, actually. I won't be surprised if it comes down to the military. I mean, money. I'm sorry. Because these actors need to get paid.
But Disney has unlimited money. So, and the fact is, he's done a very good version of this of it. When you look at John Berthune, has done a very good version of the character. I'll give him that. I remember when he did The Accountant, both movies of The Accountant with Ben Affleck. And I remember when he did that next Netflix miniseries his and hers. I think it was with I'm trying to remember who was in that series. Let's see if I can figure it out.
He also did a great job in Walking Dead.
I don't watch The Walking Dead.
I did.
Say again?
I did watch The Walking Dead.
I did.
I can't get into it simply because of the fact of the zombie thing. Yeah, the zombie thing. Where I'm from, zombies aren't that.
Oh, come on.
Seriously.
They're awesome.
Yeah, but trust me, where my family's from. Oh, he was in it with Tessa Thompson. But yeah, where my family's from, zombies are not that.
Mm-hmm.
They're more like Solomon Grundy. That's the best way I can describe it.
That means nothing to me. Sorry.
Their souls are trapped and can never cross to the other side.
Time to go bedtime.
You are literally
Bedtime.
a puppet for the person that snatches your soul.
Zombies have so many different versions out there. So I can't sit there and tell you yay and nay on that. But the Walking Dead series is actually the first couple seasons that was actually really good. It stayed to the arc of the stories and everything. The mid seasons they kind of drifted off and then they swung back. The last couple seasons I didn't see the ending of it, so I can't tell you it's to accuracy or not. But killing Rick off as early as they did, I know that is not the actual ending. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Rick left season 9 to go and spend time with his family.
That was one reason. And second reason, he was going to pursue different acting opportunities and careers.
I think sometimes, and sometimes some actors have to do that because the last thing they want is to be pigeonholed. And when that happens, it's hard to find other roles.
My favorite season of The Walking Dead was when they were in the prison.
Really, I've heard much about the show. I know people who watch it and they love it, and that's okay. I
enjoyed watching it till season 9, and then they decided to make it go downhill.
To me, I can't really get into it. I really just can't get into it.
Peter, didn't they do 11 seasons of The Walking Dead, and then they did a spin-off?
They did a spin-off way before.
Did they?
Was it Fear of the Walking Dead? I think.
That's why I remember that. Fear of the Walking Dead was in the mid of the 5 or 6, I think it was, or something like that. They started doing the spin-offs. It was okay in my opinion. I didn't really like the spin-off as much. But let's get back to it on topic really quick. So I just finally looked it up. He was actually a Marine Corps, like you were said originally. I was wrong. I apologize. There's some stories says some novels have made him as a even Navy SEAL. Most of them are, and then very few it says here. He's also as in U.S. Army as an elite trainer instructor of the Ranger School and Special Forces qualification course.
The Q course.
Exactly. So very few comic books. Like it depends which one you're reading to.
Okay.
Most of them have them as Marine Corps.
So okay, yeah. So they have different variations. They have him as a Raider. They got him as a SEAL. They got him as a FS instructor. That's Ranger qualified. That's pretty badass. Pretty badass.
But most of them have him as a what's called Marine. In Marine Corps, then he after Marine Corps he joins the FBI. That stays legit because he was undercover narcotics.
He was a narc.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah. Because people don't really understand with the FBI, CIA, and I think NSA too. They have the contractors that work for them, and I use air quotes because nobody really knows they're supposed to be working for them.
Right.
Yeah, but they also have combat, CIA, FBI, and NSA.
They have their own. They use guys like what it is. I can honestly say this, and it's nothing that's going to get me in trouble or anything else. There's a group
that you know of.
Yeah, there's a group that I do know of, and if I remember, you hear them referred to as the Activity, and they're the military wing of the CIA. Most of them are tier 1 guys. A lot of them are those who work for the CIA that were tier 1 guys, Rangers, SEALs, PJs, Raiders, things like that.
And one thing I do know, I was actually having this same conversation with my girlfriend today. People think, those army guys, I mean, the special combat operators in CIA, FBI, NSA, they don't think they don't make a lot of money.
They make a good amount of money.
Over 200,000 to make.
Yeah, that's what I said. A good amount of money.
Yeah, but it takes years and years of training to get that.
You got to have time in the service. That helps. If you're tier 1, that definitely helps. Then you got to go through the process. Of becoming a member. Going into those respective either one of those respective agencies, and then things go from there. There is
the thing is when you're trying to join one of those 3 branches out of the military, they already know about you before you want to know. It's very few people says, "Oh, listen, I want to be eventually a FBI, what's called an FBI or a CIA or NSA contractor or whatever." If you did think that was very few, but most people don't want to do that after they're done with the military service. Yeah. But before you even get out, and if you are in their eye, they contact you before you even contact them.
Yeah, and there's another.
They already know everything.
Yeah, and there's another government agency most people never heard of. It's called the DIA, the Defense and Intelligence Agency.
So what does that exactly does?
They basically do reconnaissance and counterterrorism as well. They do counterterrorism, reconnaissance, basically same aspect. They work through the DOD. Most of them are military. Not all of them are tier 1, but a good amount of them are military and everything else. And they do reconnaissance and intelligence gathering. And basically, they don't do it for, say, the NSA or the CIA. They basically do it for the Pentagon. They usually basically do it for the DOD, and then it goes through there.
Go through the change of command and stuff like that.
Exactly.
All right, let's get this guy in here. Guys, please do me a favor. All right. Please rise for our president.
Ow! Oh my God, look at that cheesy smile.
I'm running for president.
Oh, you're not a crook. All right, Tricky Dick, whatever.
I did not do the crime.
My favorite one is always, I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Oh, man. I'm like, wait, that's one way of putting it.
Anyway, Paul, my man, what's going on tonight?
It's good to be here. Just tired as always. I had my workout and paying the price for it now. So
remember, pain is your friend. The more she hurts you, the more she loves you.
Yeah. I did give myself some comfort food tonight. I just downed 3 slices of sausage and pepperoni pizza. So
nice.
So that'll I may pay for it tomorrow, but
that's okay.
It feels good right now.
So Paul, the show tonight is Punisher versus Batman, or Batman versus.
We need to hang on. Is Punisher is DC is
Marvel.
Marvel going to give us some royalties here. This is our 4th Punisher show. Right? We did Punisher versus Rambo, Punisher versus Wolverine, Punisher versus John Wick. I mean, so we should be getting something. We're creating all this content for the Punisher. So I mean, they should at least give us some free Punisher T-shirts or something. This is the Punisher Network, Punisher versus the world.
Well, I would love to get some backstage passes with Comic-Con. Meet these guys in person.
I'm just saying, we
have the actors come on.
We're showing Punisher a lot of love on this network. So I'm just saying we need to get something for it.
Get some swag gear too.
I have an idea. Okay, Disney, if you're watching, I am the Spartan. This is the Spartan SU Network. Do us a favor, show some love this way. Hook us with some interviews, some merch, some stuff. We'll hook you up. We give you free content. So
listen, if you bring the main actor, the Punisher, on the show, we can interview him. Yeah, we'll rebrand the network. The Punisher.
We'll all wear shirts with the logo on it too.
That's right.
I'm from the UK. There's Hollywood here. Send it to me.
No question.
All right, Paul. So, Batman or Punisher? Who's your money on?
I got to go with Batman. I mean,
another one.
I mean, it's again, you want Punisher versus the World, and I don't know what the I'm trying to remember. I think the last show we did was on Rambo. I think at least I picked Rambo over I put Rambo over, and I know Mandrell definitely did because this is basically U.S. Special Forces versus what was
a Marine Raider.
Marine.
Yeah, so he's U.S. Special Forces all the way, so he's gonna pick him there.
But also, you remember Rambo's also, but you gotta remember Mandrell's specialties is just like Rambo's. He's a weapons sergeant, so they got to stick together.
Yeah. So but this one here, I don't think is, especially if you're gonna start going into like the comic space. I mean, Batman. I mean, both Punisher and Batman had faced superpowered beings or enhanced individuals. I know, Punisher has faced Daredevil and other powered beings, but outside of Captain America, Batman is maybe certainly in the top 5 greatest fighters in any comic universe, DC or Marvel.
The only difference with Daredevil, he didn't have any special powers. He just had heightened
hearing. But it's still a power. If he can use that sonar to detect stuff that's coming, and he can fight in total darkness, which is another reason I would give it to Batman. But Batman would have his sight also. So again, Batman is always looking for an advantage. He always looks for your weaknesses. And certainly if it's a confrontation in a dark alley, I'm giving it to Batman every time because he's also a ninja. We forget about that.
The League of Shadows.
So he's got ninja training. He's been well versed in 127 martial arts. Now, the only I want to level set this conversation tonight. Question. And again, I don't want, because a lot of fans deflect on this one. Are we putting a kill code on Batman or not?
I say yes.
If he can kill, then I'm definitely picking Batman. But we get in these movies, it's like Batman doesn't kill, but we've seen it. Batman 89, we've seen him take out, people die. He's taking out people.
Like I said at the beginning of the show, before you guys jumped on, Batman in the early years in Detective Comics 72, was it? I think. I had it here a minute ago. If I have it open. No, I don't. His years when he first became Batman. I mean, talking about, we're going way back. Detective Comics. We're talking about.
Wow.
A, he carried a firearm, and B, he did kill. That was the original story behind it, because of the trauma of his parents' death. He was taking heads. And he was asking questions. Simple as that.
Okay, so what made Bob Kane decide to change the narrative?
I think it was during the code of the comic book code was coming out, and it was like, people couldn't, you couldn't talk about drugs in there. Cleavage wasn't too short. Right. You had to send your comic book out to get approved by the code first. And Stan Lee was one of the few people who was against that. He goes, "Listen, I can't only do so much now. My hands die." So it was one comic book. You know what? He's literally looked at. I'm not paraphrasing, so please take it a grain of salt. He goes, "Fuck him. I'm going to publish this comic book my way." And that was the beginning of the code breaking down, because they felt at the time comic books was, again, like anything else, video games, music, rap, whatever, it rots kids' brains.
Right.
And in reality, it wasn't. It's actually helping educate a lot of people learn how to read. Vocabulary was getting better. Drawing was a good thing. You know what I'm saying?
Illustrations were getting more and more detailed.
Yeah. And here's a good story. Like, yes, Dark Knight, he did.
He also killed him in the 1989 version.
Yeah,
he threw him off the church.
No, he fell.
Well, he fell. He tried to grab
Yeah, but
him.
how did he get there? Fighting Batman.
Yeah, Batman used the grappling hook and had him tied to a gargoyle.
But I don't think he would have, if he had him down, I don't think he would, I don't know if he would put a killing stroke on him, if that's what you're referring to. But certainly him going in and setting off that bomb in the access chemicals and taking all those dudes out, that's pretty deliberate. So I'm not gonna use, okay, well, he doesn't kill as a whole back, because we know that Frank is not holding back.
That's true.
Frank takes out everybody in the most brutal fashion. So if you're gonna try to have it where Frank is unhinged or there's no limits on him, but you're going to put limits on Batman. I don't think that's fair. I think that, I think both have to go in with the intention of trying to defeat the other by any means necessary.
Also, if you look
I want to read this article really fast for you. In Batman officially stopped killing in the comic books around mid 1940s, primary so fired by Batman issue 4, 1940, after being stopping gun tolerance violence in 1939. So gun violence were on a rise in 1939. That's where people started talking about gun rights, gun laws, and all that stuff. So they decided to shift gears. So the director, who was Robert, I can't pronounce his last name. He was the one who was actually guiding Batman, comic books at the time. He was the comic book director, pretty much. So he decided to switch gears to more a friendlier, non-killing, and also helped sell more comic books and toys at the time. If you think about it, Batman toys have been around since the 1940s and more. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, is it your impression that even, like, say, I guess, like me and Nancy, we go back to the 70s, I guess, but it seemed like to me there was a difference between DC and Marvel, period, in terms of their heroes not killing people. Whereas in the Marvel, especially with the X-Men, it seemed like the gloves were more off in Marvel versus DC. DC, especially in that golden age, it seems like they just had this standard that no superhero takes it to sort of those extremes. Marvel was always, and I guess for a lot of people, more popular for a while. Marvel got more popular because the characters were grittier and they just didn't have those limitations on it that people would, get taken out. Whereas DC for the longest time had this, again, it could have been just a values decision, or as you said, wanted to be more marketable, sell more toys or whatnot, or more children's stuff. But that seems to be the impression I always have. I don't know if you guys have the same impression.
Actually, you're 100% correct.
No,
so
you're right.
Stan Lee has said in an interview when he first started getting really, really big in Marvel, saying, why didn't you do different than DC? Why did you use New York City, Jersey, DC? He goes, very simple. I don't want to be my competition. Why would I go against my competition? I got my inspiration right outside this window. He goes, I don't want to do anything my competition does. I want more realistic stuff, more down to earth. Because if you Spider-Man swinging down New York City, he's wearing a mask. He can be anybody. He can be a Latino guy. He can be an African man. He can be a Greek man. He can be a freaking Chinese man or Japanese, whatever. It didn't matter. He was more down to earth. That's what he wanted, and it worked.
That's true.
Because in reality, if this, let's play double advocate here for a second.
Okay.
This pretend world we're talking about, DC and Marvel, and in Marvel, if it was in a real time situation, you see a guy running down New York City in a hood, saving people. Or you really think he's not going to take at least one life in the process? You just answered your own question.
Yeah.
Or you guys didn't say anything. You kind of like grin it and say, thought about it, like, oh, he's kind of right, actually. I'm not saying he's going to go out his way and go, hey, come here. I got a present for you. Say hello to my little friend. He's not going to do that. I'm not saying that. But let's say he's fighting with Tonfas or Scythe or Sword. You hit him in the temple a little bit too hard. Anton, you're a martial artist. What happens if you get hit in the temple a little too hard? Bye-bye life.
Yep.
You can kill somebody hitting somebody in the temple.
And you hit him in the right spot. And you hit him in that right spot with the right amount of pressure.
You can delete him very easily. But people don't realize that. So, with Stan Lee going on a more realistic route, he didn't have to go blow with his competition. The downfall was it took years and years and years to get their comic books into anime series. DC was in anime and TV series a lot longer than Marvel had.
That's true, and I think that's because DC had a partnership with Warner Brothers. That's why.
That's one, and two, it was kid friendly.
Yeah,
right.
Superman,
but I also like it's kind of almost like wrestling, also, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like with the Attitude Era, Like you had, like I think again in the golden age of comics, there was this idea of superheroes are virtuous and they have the highest moral principle, and they were basically role models. But again, when you had the Marvel, a lot of those guys weren't. Wolverine is not a role model. I mean, Punisher is not a role model. So it's like, and just as I guess mores change, where the zeitgeist changed, where people didn't want these squeaky clean characters. I mean, that's why Vince, say what you want about him, and say what you want about the Attitude Era. I think people were smartening up to say we don't want goody guys all the time. We want more gray area characters and more personalities and attitudes versus, okay, this is a good guy, this is a bad guy, this is a face, this is a heel. And I just think that the public started to change, and I think Vince changed with it. I think the reason why Marvel, they might have took them a while outside of what you said earlier, as far as the TV rights and things of that nature, or movie rights or whatever. But I think just people in general, I think, are more cynical, and they don't want, like in the Superman movie, right? He saves Air Force One, and then he goes and saves a cat out of a tree. I mean, that's it's nice, but I mean, it's too. It's almost like it's campy at the end of the day. And how many, again, when you grew up watching the 1966 Batman, bat repellent, back shark. Is there any way you can get rid of a bomb? He's running all over because, like, if he throws the bomb, there's some ducks in the water. I can't throw the bomb there because I don't want to blow up the little duckies and stuff like that. It's like, it's so. I think for the longest time, certainly through the 60s, DC had this sort of high virtue standard for their characters, even for someone like Batman. But I think even Batman got darker, like I said, with the Killing Joke and the series that came out later. Batman, I guess he went back to his grittier roots in those series versus the Golden Age era, at least through the 70s. So I think that's has a lot to how we changed in terms of what we want to see more realism, and just understanding that heroes are not always, again, kissing babies and saving cats out of trees.
That's true. I get what you're saying, Paul, because one of the things that helped Marvel was the anti-hero. Loki, Deadpool. They were the anti-heroes. They weren't heroes, but they weren't villains. And they had a very strong following. And if you heard my wife, she said it. Loki. Perfect example. When you look at the movie,
Loki had a redemption arc. I'm going to have to say he was a villain.
You heard my wife? She said that basically he had, and she does have a point. Deadpool as well. He was definitely that anti-hero as well.
Yeah, so Batman, I want to break this down a little bit. So they has it broken down in 3 characters here in this article. The early years of Batman, it says it's from 1939 to 1940. Batman first issues was frequently killed in using with a firearm, a gun, it says specifically. Now, later on, the turning point goes in Batman issue 4, 1940. That's when the politic things changed. For about a year or so, he was using a firearm. Then after that, it was the rule of evolution is called the no-kill rule. And it's pretty much says it from mid 1940s to now into the 70s, it was no kill. Then it got involved again. The reconnings. Modern comics have recovered from his earliest years to no kill mode code. I think that's changed recently because we're going really dark now in comic book movies, because Dark Knight's a great example. They went really back. He was dark. He was greedy. He said he was literally hanging people upside down. Like, you're going to talk to me, and like, oh, I'm gonna pop your head like a balloon. Simple. Blade is another good example. Was like, he went after
the
vampires, but when he needed to take a non-vampire out, he didn't hesitate twice. But the only problem with a non-vampire human, and leaves evidence versus a vampire, is no evidence. It's less messier. And like Winstar, I think it was his partner's name, but whatever his partner's name was.
Was it Winston or I forgot? Hold on.
But you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
He even said it like I think it was Black Trinity. He goes, a vampire is not messy, but human is messy.
That's right.
So the comics go through these evolutions all the time. It goes very high, very low, very high, very low, very high, very low. Greg, are you sleeping on my stream?
Hell no, I'm just getting comfortable. I'll tell you what, I'll get even more comfy. There you go.
I think
I swear, if you hear you snowing, I swear to God, I am gonna blow you up and clip that.
What? Oh shit!
You good?
Yeah. So comic books go on these evolution rides.
Mm-hmm.
Very dark or non-dark at all. In the Batman, I think was 70s Paul, the Adam Wessler series. Am I right?
The 60s, 1966 to 60s, 67.
That was very cartoonish for a live action. He's running aroard bombing him like this, and it made no sense. And he had, like you said before, Dark Shark, Darkest Run, all this stuff. I'm like, now you're going a little too far with it.
Yeah.
At some point, as a kid,
that's what I'm saying. In all of these, because comics are constantly evolving, and it's a good point by Eric about the Dark Knight series with Frank Miller.
Yeah, correct. He's a great artist.
Right. So again, that's why it's a little harder, because again, you have to level set what characters we talk about. What character? I think the Punisher is a lot more straightforward in terms of his motivations, in terms of what he's willing to do and whatnot. He's kind of like almost like he plays one note. Batman has certainly evolved and changed a lot over the years, at least more so than Frank has. So the Punisher has. So I just think that, having this, if you're going to do a true versus, I think you have to have it where, again, you have them playing on an equal playing field of, again, no restriction. Or let's even paint a story, right? Because if you're going to say that Batman does have a moral code, Frank has none. So imagine Frank is operating in Gotham City, and he's just taking dudes out. Like cold blood, no justice system, no nothing. And Batman basically has to stop him or intervene, and then they have an interaction. Let's just say we're going to paint that scenario where Batman has to stop Frank from just 86 and everybody. You know what I mean? And what would happen in that exchange? Now, Frank isn't going to hold back. He doesn't have any respect for, I don't think he's going to have respect for him or whatever. They're going to have an exchange, and they're going to have a fight. And it's going to boil down to who's better. And I think Batman checks off all the boxes except for maybe skill with weapons, like with guns. Because, again, that's one thing Batman, I think, historically, maybe early on in the early series, he had a gun. But for the most part, for most of his story arc, he hasn't had a gun. But he's physically stronger, period. I mean, Batman benches like 1,000 pounds. And he's an Olympic-level gymnast. Frank doesn't have, at least I haven't seen him exhibit those qualities in any iteration that I've ever seen. Batman operates in true stealth. So again, if the room is dark, it's over in seconds. Because Frank can only hit what he can see. And so whether it be a pellet bomb or something to smoke out the room, or the lights get turned out, or something like that, any kind of distraction, that's all Batman needs. You add to it the 127 different martial arts that he knows, and I just think it becomes an unfair fight. And I'm talking about with very little. I mean, just maybe a couple pellets out of his utility belt. But he doesn't need a whole lot. Now, Frank is known for his guns and his weapons. And again, those can be certainly, if he's going to be firing those things, that could be an advantage or disadvantage. Batman can also dodge bullets. I mean, he's dodged bullets in the past. And so I just think, and his suit and cowl are, for the most part, at least in the later iterations, is bulletproof. And so Frank's bullets, unless he goes to some serious armor piercing, which he could possibly have, So if you talk about conventional bullets, his cowl, his cape, he has some protection against some of those things. The only portion of Batman's face has generally been the lower his mouth, the part of his mouth.
Mhm.
Now Frank is more accurate. He can send a kill shot there. Absolutely. But again, the likelihood of it getting there, honestly, I don't think this is that close.
So the helmet, Batman's helmet is strong, but not that strong. It won't stop. It's not a helmet like a military person as well who can stop a bullet and come in his head. It can stop a nice punch, maybe a blade. That's it. A little 22 is going to take him right out in the helmet. It's very fragile because the heavier versions, he realized he couldn't turn his neck to fight. We saw that from Batman Begins into The Dark Knight. He wanted that headpiece remodeled because he couldn't turn. But they told him, listen, it's not going to stop any bullets, buddy. He goes,
right, but in the Justice League, though, and I'm talking about his regular suit, didn't he take a headshot when he was fighting those guys in that when he went to rescue Martha Kent? I thought he took a couple headshots, but they didn't do anything. I thought I could be wrong about that, but
if I remember correctly, he was wearing his heavier armor.
He's wearing the robotic
it wasn't the
armor.
one though he fought Superman with. I mean, this was his general cowl that he used in the
No,
movies.
this was the armor one, I think.
No, it's the armor one.
I don't
I'm
think
pretty
so.
sure.
If you think about it, right, he was actually using electrical robotic armor in the Justice League.
I don't.
I would have to
remember
look at a pitch. I mean, I know we can't
I'm looking at
show
it right
fights where, but I thought he was using, for the most part, his regular suit. He only donned the armor suit when he fought Superman.
Okay, yeah, that was in the second one.
Yeah,
My mistake, sorry.
and like I said, I thought he took a couple headshots, but again, and I think certainly the thing with the immovable neck, all he did was he changed the cowl so that he had neck movement. He
Right.
would still have protection in the head.
But it hurt his peripheral vision also.
Right. So he basically made it where he could turn his head,
Right.
but the protection in the helmet would still be there. But like I said, but even then, I just think that Frank would have a hard time. Hand-to-hand combat, I don't think it's close. And I know the only thing I know Frank, what he's good at, he's almost like John Wick in that he can use anything as a weapon. Like John Wick killed the dude with a and I hope I'm not getting dinged by using kill, but he killed the dude with a book. You know what I'm saying? He took the people out with pencils and whatnot. So I think certainly Punisher has that type of skill to kind of use anything at his disposal. If he can't get to his guns, or if his guns aren't effective, or he can't, Batman's moving too fast for him to get in a good shot or whatever. And certainly in the series on the Punisher that we've seen, more times than not, he's not using his weapons all the time. It's like he's using a table leg or some other object of some kind, some blunt force object to issue damage to somebody. So I think he would be resourceful in that.
Before I want to put my 2 cents in, I want to put this video up. This is the only video I've actually found that I actually think is accurate. I want to give credit to the Capper Corner. This is his video, and I need to put this up just in case. Where is it? For use. I think this video actually catches it very on point where he breaks it down. So let's play it and watch it really fast. I got to turn my volume on.
Batman versus Punisher. Who wins? When it comes to Batman, we're talking about peak human perfection. Trained in 127 martial arts, the world's greatest detective, and armed with the most advanced tech money can buy, Batman always has the right tool for the fight. Add in his unmatched strategic mind and the ability to exploit any weakness. And he's not just a fighter, he's a tactician who almost never loses. Now Punisher. He's a hardened soldier with military precision, endless firepower, and zero hesitation to kill. Punisher doesn't hold back. He turns battlefields into war zones and thrives in brutal, no-rules combat. So who wins? If it's a straight-up brawl, Punisher's raw lethality gives him the edge. But if Batman has time to prepare, and he almost always does, Punisher doesn't stand a chance. In the end, Batman's brain and discipline would outmatch Punisher's bullets. Who's your pick? Comment below and don't forget to like and subscribe. Batman versus Punisher.
Batman every time.
See, I don't get that. He's saying if it's head to head, that Punisher wins. He's fighting a stronger, more skilled person.
So here's where my pushback a little with you is, Paul. I actually read a study on this recently too. So people who do everyday body lifting are strong at the gym, not denying that. But when it comes to hand-to-hand combat and martial arts, they're the weakest people you want to fight. Actually, the bigger you are,
Because they don't know martial arts.
Yeah, no, yeah, they're very little flexibility.
I mean, Batman just like he uses that strength with his martial arts. That's why he's able to fight super powered individuals. It's like Captain America. Captain America technically is at the peak of human potential. If Batman benches 1,000 pounds, Captain America could bench maybe like 12, 13, whatever the current world record is in bench press. Captain America can do that. But again, you won't see any of these super power lifter guys who can do somersaults and bat flips and gymnastic moves. So these guys have been able to incorporate.
Can't even throw a roundhouse kick.
What's that?
Most powerlifters can't even throw a roundhouse kick.
That's what I'm saying. But Batman can, and so can Cap, and so can these guys who, again, they're able to combine.
They still find a way to maintain their flexibility.
Yeah, they're not just muscle bound.
Batman's a lot like Tony Stark, right? He'll find out the weakness and he'll build on that weakness and he'll improve on it and see if he can make it flexible, make it movable, make it all basically like Tony Stark with his armor, the Iron Man armor. Yeah, he always improved on it, didn't he? So did Batman.
I never thought about that. That's a very good argument right there, Craig.
It's the same with the opponent, right? If he doesn't win the first fight, he'll always come back. And then he'll come and fighting back a bit more stronger and with new, different tools.
Yeah, but the thing is, Batman, just like Cap, they learn in the fight itself. Like as you're fighting, like they assess your moves. Like
they already know how to adapt to it.
Yeah. All they need is like a couple rounds, and it's like a lot of guys in boxing, right? You'll be willing to give up a couple shots just for you to figure your guy out. And then once you figure out what he can do and what he can't do,
you'll use it against him.
So again, I'm thinking if you're talking about like in terms of rounds or as the fight goes on, I would still think that Batman would have the edge because again, with his brain, the way he processes I think his processor is such where he would figure out if you talk about a hand-to-hand situation, like I said earlier, hand-to-hand, I think he's going to figure stuff out.
Wow, that's deep what Pat said. Batman can use Frank's PTSD against him. Batman's villains fear him while having a no-kill rule. Punisher's villains fear him knowing he will kill them. That is a fair point. And Pat also had a very good yeah, I get it, Eric. Come on now. But it's a very good discussion if you think about it. But Pat also had a really good made a very good point as well. And it goes back to what I mentioned earlier about Sub-Level 7. He said Batman has a contingency plan for the Justice League. Does Frank have one for the Avengers? And it goes.
I don't think he operates in that world. No, he's not.
That prepared.
Yeah, like I said, they say Batman is like the greatest detective mind. Whereas I don't think Frank. I don't know if he is as. I'm not saying he's not tactical or he's not calculating. Mm-hmm. But Batman kind of goes to the nth degree to again study his opponent. So I think he would own the instant mashup. But like I said, if you give him time, then it's just going to be a shorter fight.
It's a lot like Iron Man, Tony Stark, constantly learning, constantly planning, constantly doing stuff.
Yeah, finding ways to make armor better.
Well, it's interesting because now the AI in Tony's suit. Yeah.
Go ahead, Bob. I'm sorry to cut you off.
I'm saying just the AI. Now, remember in Civil War, the AI in Tony's suit figured out his counters. Like, analyze his fighting style. Yeah. And he said, okay, go into countermeasures. And then he knew how to fight Captain America because I guess whatever his AI, because I think Jarvis was gone. So I guess whoever the female Friday was, she figured him out. So again, I mean, I think that's another layer that certainly Iron Man could could have. But yeah, I just think that I think in any scenario that you want to name, unless you're gonna give maybe like the Punisher like an M60 or a minigun or something like that, and he's just
Like I
fine.
said earlier, Paul, if the Punisher, if the Punisher had let's say a small EMP blast, fried Batman's gear, I do think Punisher has the upper hand with his no gear. That is his Achilles heel. I feel sometimes.
He's the
But say that again. If he doesn't, if he does have gear, he doesn't.
It does not. Let's say Punisher finds a way to fry his gear, all his gear. All right. The only thing he has is a Bangarang, his gauntlets, and his fists. The Punisher has the upper hand now.
Ooh. So again, so on a mat, hand to hand. So take weapons out of it altogether.
Are we talking about firearms or tech only?
Everything.
Okay.
Just Batman and Frank on a mat.
Just strip
Bruce
them
Wayne
down.
and Frank on a
I'll put it
mat.
this way.
Cows off, uniforms off. They can be in athletic apparel.
I'll put the scenario to you. Okay. If they both got captured, they have to fight to the death in a battle royale, in a hand-to-hand combat, in a gi. All right. I will give Castle the upper hand on that point.
And what is that based on? Why would you give him that?
Because of his military background. He's not going to stop. The point is down. There's no man left behind.
Okay, but what is that?
The military, the American military were designed like a machine. They're literally constantly built to just keep going. And I think Anton would agree with me on that one.
But hang on, but I don't. And Anton, I mean, no disrespect. And if Mandrell is lurking out there, I mean, no disrespect also. But you're saying military mind or military background. Is that a bonus or is that a liability?
Really?
Because again, I mean, just like we had the show earlier about martial arts versus boxing or whatever. Just because you're in the military, I'm not saying obviously you're learning some hand-to-hand combat moves.
Mm-hmm.
But if you put a military guy in with a legit martial artist who can fight, or even a boxer who can fight, or a Thai boxer who can fight, does the military guy, how does that guy would stand up to a true martial artist who can actually fight? Batman is a martial artist who can fight. We had that show where we said a lot of martial arts doesn't even want you fighting. The whole idea of studying the martial art is so that you do not fight. But if you're talking about a guy who has the skill and he has the killer instinct as well, I don't think your military background, as much as Rangers, Special Forces, Anton, again, step in here. Would you call these guys elite fighters when they got to go up against another person who can fight? Or are you learning some secret stuff that nobody knows about that makes these guys not only legendary warriors and the endurance, all that, but I mean, again, when it comes to hand-to-hand combat, are you willing to say that Special Forces, Green Berets, or whoever it is, can outfight people who do this for, like, who dedicate their lives to this thing or to any kind of combat sport? That's a question for Anton.
I am torn into this. I am torn down the middle. I'll tell you why. One, my martial arts person says, no, a trained martial artist is always going to win hands down no matter what. Yada, 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 right? The other me is torn also because I say, because I love the military, higher rank you get more training. Special forces get different training, and they actually use their training in actual practice. So I am torn on this answer. I want to say yes to both, but I can't. I got to pick one or the other. And I don't know how to answer that because I never served in the military. I am a fan of the military, and maybe Anton can put some light on this situation a little more than I can. So I'm going to give the mic to Anton right now.
Basically, you're trying to fight and you're wearing all that gear at the same time. That's going to take a lot out of you, but that's why you train. That's why you got to have a significant amount of endurance and stamina, because if you're wearing 20 to 30 pounds worth of gear and you're fighting hand to hand at the same time, It's definitely going to tire you out. So you got to know how to pace yourself. And some of the things that they're doing that I remember reading about, if Mandrell was here, he can definitely go in a lot more detail than I am because he went through the Q course. He was in group. He would have a better understanding than I do. Some guys would learn a little bit, not just the basic wrestling, but they'll learn a little bit of jiu-jitsu and judo as well.
Right. And the question also is, are you guys fighting for real? Or are you sparring?
You're always going to be fighting no matter what. And the reason why you don't want to get comfortable and sparring and not holding back per se is the last thing you want to do if you're in a real situation. You want to hold your punch. You want pull your punches or pull your kicks. So you try.
I've seen some training videos that they actually go for blow. They're taking bloods out.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. You don't want to pull. You don't want to pull your punches or pull your kicks. Because if you get into the habit of doing that, then you're not going to be effective when you're in a situation where you really have to go.
Which is one of the reasons why I've always, again, in the debate that we had, boxers, martial art, boxers, Thai boxers, wrestlers. That is basically what you do. The whole training is about beating somebody. Or when you go into competition, some of these fighters have hundreds of amateur fights and then dozens of professional fights or whatever it is. You're doing it all the time. Whereas if you're in only a light sparring, soft contact sort of situation, then let's say if you're in the battlefield, for example, and you gotta pull the trigger because you're in a situation where, again, you got your weapons, but you might be in a situation where you might have to legitimately fight the enemy. How many of these military guys are ready or that got that kind of instinct to actually go in there and do and do that sort of thing? I don't know. I'm asking. Like I said, Mandrell, I know because Mandrell was a boxer. Mandrell has the combat sports side of things as well as the military side, and he can certainly give an answer on that. But Anton, how much when you were in the service, much time did you devote? In all the years in service, how much time did you dedicate to fighting hand-to-hand combat?
Paul, before we move on, let's get Wally in here too.
Oh,
what's going on?
What's good, Wally?
Wally, come on in.
Big up, Wally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just gonna get real.
I can
So
barely
what
hear him.
amount of crap did I force to listen to myself when I listen to these arguments or these conversations that you guys have? Because literally, I've heard points that were recently made that honestly have no point being made. All right, y'all were arguing what? Military standpoints?
Military versus military training versus martial art training.
Okay, so let's get one thing clear. If anyone understands or ever watched Batman to any high stake degree, you can actually look at a lot of things that Batman go through that you can somewhat equivalent to military training. Perfect example. If Punisher is wearing so much gear on him, which naturally most army people are, right? Look at Batman and look at the amount of stuff that he's carrying.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I don't know the weight of his gadget belt, but in more cases than not, just look at just the overall, and then look at in phases of many things in transition of shifting into different versions of the comics, either through just animation or movies. He's always able to pick up the weight on his gear, on his whole body frame and everything. So that is my point. I mean, you want to go even further? Now, I know what else. You said about how it looks like between face-to-face hand combat. Anybody?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Continue.
Okay. Well, based on hand-to-hand combat, is the fight between both Punisher and Batman close as a hand-to-hand combat? Honestly, the answer is also yes. But here's the point of it. You have to ask yourself, well, how's that the case? Well, who amongst Batman can you look at and say that in a similar fashion is close to Punisher? Red Hood. And again, this is someone that Batman trained. But as we all seen when Red Hood came back, aka
He took it to
Red Robin Red Hood. Right, when he came back, he was more so of the brutal, I will kill you person. So in this case, that is an equivalence of Punisher. And all of Batman's pretty much advocates that he's trained and raised up until this point have a chance to actually beat Batman. Now, here's the difference, though. The difference with that is Batman shown when he has chosen to quote unquote get even a little bit more aggressive, he will sit down his students with a quickness. That's the only difference. So in this case, I do believe if it's just straight up hand-to-hand combat between the two, yeah, between both Batman and both Punisher will get down there, and it'll be a good, easy spar match. The difference is what is the area and the terrain, because we all know at this point, Punisher is commonly known. He'll use everything and anything at his hand's disposal as a weapon to beat you the fuck up. That is clear. So the area and the terrain matter in this case of them fighting in hand-to-hand combat. That is just obvious. But in more cases than not, if we're just talking about straight up just hand-to-hand combat and the terrain doesn't really have any form of weaponry that you can really touch or grab, there is no form of weaponry whatsoever. Just on the face premise of understanding skill sets, you got a brawler versus someone that's in multiple combat skills. Eventually down the line, Batman's countering one way or another. Because Batman's more patient, Punisher just more aggressive, he's just going to go with it. Which leads what? To countermeasurements and being beat down. That is obvious. Take a shot with that one way or the other. What was the other arguments on the table?
We went through so many.
Look, Wally, honestly, before you came on, I raised most of these points. I mean, you know, I like I said, I was
listening. That's why I'm saying I'm walking all these down one way or another, depending on how yay or nay they are.
But I mean, from what you said, I don't disagree with anything you said, and I don't think I necessarily said anything that was counter to that. So.
Oh God!
Dead silence.
Good. Oh God! No,
no, it's coming from Eric.
Yeah, he's being I will look at it. I'll give it a shot. I will look at it. Okay.
Well, he has a point on that. I mean, if he's idolizing the idea of how far does Grinnell, goes against Batman and how far of the combat goes, then yeah, he has a point.
But I think he's making an equivocation here. So he's saying basically if Punisher can take down Daredevil, then he can take down Batman. I don't think that math doesn't necessarily math to me. Well, I think Batman can certainly take down Daredevil. Especially if he finds out that he knows he's blind or whatever, he can certainly use any kind of sonic attacks to take down Daredevil. So I don't know how that matches.
Well, hold on. Well, let's get one thing clear though, right? Now, I've seen Pat made a lot of comments in the chat, which were good, fair ones as well. Because of course, when I was literally listening, I've literally had to run through the whole damn chat to see what comments were being made about the conversation or the debates, whatever one, or in a mixture. And yeah, he made a lot of great points. This one is still a great point because if Punisher can't take down Daredevil, then he can't take down Batman. But in the comics, it's shown he has been able to brutalize, blooded, and beaten Daredevil in the actual shows and comics. He's shown this. That's been proven. So the thing, but that's the thing though. Like that, of course, is writing because honestly, based upon how Daredevil works, that shouldn't have happened, which that's the other part. Technically, if we're looking at it from a logical standpoint, that should never happen. But yeah, so my thing overall, he's right. Yeah, if he logically cannot take down Daredevil, how the hell do you expect him to take down Batman? Because Batman is working on a similar premise of his skill set. But the problem is, Batman only works on that similar premise if the room is dark or there's a lot of smoke in the where he throws one of his smoke bombs or smoke pellets. So yeah, it's ideal similar if you're using weaponry in the conversation. But if you're not, then at this point again, you have to go back to the idea framework of looking at these two straight to straight. So for me, it's like I get the point, and the point is usable. The only thing is how far you use the point as far as the conversation goes. But if we're talking about a fair, hand-to-hand combat, then again, then the fight between them is fair enough to look at. The only difference is as far as the edge. I go back to it. I give it a Batman.
Fair enough, I think.
So Sparta, so you're the main one who's making the case for Punisher, but I think the cases that you made for Punisher kind of get neutralized. If you wanted to rely, and I think this was Wally's point earlier, you want to rely on Punisher's military experience, which I raised the question: are guys? That's the only reason why I brought up the point. Do guys in the military are the elite fighters?
Mm-hmm.
Number one, and and I think Wally came in and said that basically Batman's training or the situation that he found himself in, you can equate to that of someone who's had military training. But I would say even more so that again, it's ninjutsu, it's all these other elements that I don't think our modern military is certainly engaged in.
If you look at Lethal Weapon 2, what's his name? I can't. Mel Gibson in Lethal Weapon 2,
Riggs.
where they had that fight. When they had that fight right at the end, and he's like ex-military and he had martial arts, all that sort of crap, and he became a cop afterwards. All of that. That was all done by the military, wasn't it?
I don't know. Is the military teaching spinning back kicks? I don't know.
Well, there are.
I want to go another point on this, right? Because again, this is based upon back on the military standpoint. So we talk about how hard, as far as the idea of endurance and never quit attitude on a spectrum of military. Okay, well, if that's the case, can I ask you something? How much people do you know that are in military that became MMA fighters, and have any of them became any champions?
I thought there were a few of them.
There are a few guys that were with MMA.
Tell me how much in MMA and how much of them became champions.
Off my head,
I know a good few that came into MMA, literally started as an ultimate fighter, but never made it. So again,
it's not the norm.
It's very bravery. So when we talk about the idea of toughness is very subjective, especially in the sense of if you're just labeling it military, because you think military is just the highest form. But let's also understand these guys go through trauma. So in that same understanding of that, you also have to question what is that idea of trauma and how that trauma looks like when they're actually fighting. So in that sense, there's also a deficiency with that. Granted, let's be fair, yes, Batman also clearly has trauma because of his parents, but let's be honest, these two do not know each other's traumas, so I won't use that in any form or sense in this conversation between them. So with that said, raising on that concept is also a moot point because neither one would know it, but at the same time, neither one would know that even if they experience something like that. So that is also a moot point, knowing that both of these characters have went through it, and that's what literally has these characters who they are in their somewhat stoic format. So no, I can't even touch that.
Well, you're saying, but the scenario that you're painting, Wally, is that they have this conversation without time. Because Batman was certainly, again, he's a detective, so he would try to pull a file on Frank and see who is this guy before he fought him.
But
you talk about scenario that is me.
Well, yeah, but that's my thing. Though my thing is when we think about these conversations / debates where y'all talk about, if Batman comes in the scene, he's gonna do some research. He don't know him. You're coming into a natural playing field where you don't know this person. If you're just going in there for sudden battle, that's the concept. You're going in there sudden battle. You're finding somebody. You have to learn on the fly. Now, depending on how the natural playing field and the terrain of this stuff, I would think anyone that sets the terrain battlefield between Batman and Punisher, you're more likely going to fit the motif of both of them, one way or the other, where it's enough for both of them to work in, makeshift, whatever they got to do. But the thing is, again, I'm not going to even work on Batman's prep time. I'm gonna work on Batman's prep time in real life action because again, it only takes enough to understand your opponent enough to see how they move, how they work, how they go about things until you figure them out. And if Batman needs way more than that to handle the Punisher, then that's sort of sad because honestly, that's more horrible than it is more gratifying. So for me, yeah, no, I don't, there's not really a need for prep time conversations in this whole debate.
Honestly, I think what it is, he knows how to prep on the fly as well. Like, when have you?
Within the fight itself, he can, you know, he can kind of analyze your fighting style within the contest. So I think that's just another thing that he has. I don't know if Frank does that same kind of breakdown or analysis during the fight itself. So
that is true. Because
Pete, you're the one, but again, you're the one pulling for Punisher. So you got to go with another defense. I don't know if the points that you made have been
standard for Punisher, because I'm not saying like there's not a wiggle room somewhere, but what are the stands? Because again, whatever stance you make, that will deter yay and nay.
My argument was because he had military experience, military training, he would have had the upper edge because of his practical weapons. If you take away all Batman's tech.
Okay, so pause. You that's what you're labeling it. That's the main argument so far you have for him, for Punisher.
Yes.
So okay, let's go back. So let's go backwards. So this is why I like to hear when I hear these statements and then how to debunk these statements. So you're saying again, this is based upon first AK military standpoint, and B, you're also breaking this on if Batman doesn't have his tech. Okay, great. So take off the tech and then go back and just place it in the same format. Okay, well, let's understand these very full things about training as a military. What format of what in any training session of military do you believe that Punisher gains over Batman?
Good question.
Actual combat
experience.
Wow.
Actual combat experience. That's already been proven that he has combat experience. So
Batman or Punisher?
Batman. Because again, you're combat experience.
They're both different in their own ways.
They're different in their own ways, but I go. This is why I ask again, going back to that, because understanding that military does formats in Muay Thai, boxing, all these things, wrestling, everything. Okay, and I ask a simple question: what military person that moved on to then a format of MMA? I never say which one. Just any MMA person, any MMA corporation, and actually won a championship. Y'all haven't given me no names. So again, that premise of training, fighting, and then also even endurance, you also just sold yourself out on that. If we're talking that, because again, if that's the case, they would be world champions at this point. There's been a few I've seen that have been military, fought in MMA, at least from my standpoint of UFC through the actual building process of the TUF. And then even some well-known decent people that are from military. Because again, for instance, perfect example. I think Yoel Romero. I think if I'm not mistaken, he's military. Big guy, so deadly, but never been world champion, as far as I know. I think maybe Bellator, maybe, but not right now. As far as I think he's military, if I'm not mistaken.
I bet Paul can beat the Punisher because he's a huge bugger, isn't he?
Well, he is. Yeah.
Size matters not.
That's another thing. Size matter not. But so that right there is sort of mute point. Oh, but even then, okay, let's go to this point. All right, you were talking about military. I believe even in the sense of military, we're talking about training and endurance or some form of fashion of anything else. Okay, I mean, let's be honest. Based upon comics, Batman can bench press this much amount of string work. So if he can bench press that, I'll also go to this point. You remember the concept of don't leave a soldier behind? Okay, if you have to take a soldier's body that is pretty much decapitated because he can't even work on his own, then again, that alone also proves to a point that Batman has some type of training. Because again, if you're taking that concept and running it with Batman, Batman has to save people, have his weight on his back. He has the formulated training just on basic weight training alone, just to say he's able to qualify as a military guy in some senses. And from a small training standpoint. And I say small because, again, also that stuff too. But even then, let's even look at some other formats. Okay, for instance, military, they showed a different sense of training when you got to dive into the water and how long you can survive before you have to come up for air. Again, I think Batman's proven that straightforward, even without gear. I know he has gear, but even without gear, he can prove that straightforward. So that's another thing. I mean, unless I missed something, tell me something else, military-wise, in strain work, that you think Batman couldn't do.
I'm defeated. I tap out. I'm no one. I lost.
I think the only thing I could give, and I think I might have brought this in at the beginning. I mean, certainly Frank is one of the best marksmen in comics, I guess. I know you got Bullseye, you got
Bullseye, you got Deadshot.
Yeah, so he's pretty accurate, and obviously, certainly on Batman, there are vulnerable areas. Again, this is assuming if he is able to use weapons, that there are vulnerable parts even on Batman's suit, even though it has certain portions of it are bulletproof, but not everything is bulletproof. Could he get off a shot that is accurate enough to take it out? Could Batman use, whether it be a Batarang or something like that, to deflect such shots, or could Frank get that shot off? Who's the better marksman, I guess, is the question. If the edge goes to Frank, then could that be something he could exploit?
All right, so by marksman, how are we trying to level set marksman?
Accuracy with weapons. In this case, if he relies on his guns. So again, if he shoots Batman in the lower area where his face is uncovered, assuming he has his armor on, then it's done.
Oh no, I get where you're going with it. I'm just saying, like, I'm just trying to look at the measurement, because if you're talking about just shooting with, you saying marksman, just the accuracy with your weaponry.
Right,
okay,
because that's going to be Frank's. That's his utility belt, right? That's his armaments.
I know where you're going with it, but that's my thing, though, right? Well, see, if you're saying, but see, that's the thing, that also equivocates that they have to have weapons, which goes back to the idea that Batman has smoke propellant. But let's say Batman don't use it, just for the sake of just ego. Let's just say that for the sake of that, right? You don't use it. Let's just see who's the best marksman with weaponry. Well, let's be honest. Batman never misses with a freaking Batarang. That's one thing for sure. Even if it looks like he did, there's always a point to how he's using it. But does Batman has enough Batarangs to cover all bullets that Punisher is going to drop out? No. Depending on the firearms he has and he can carry in the fight, he's not going to be able to cover it. But that's the difference too. That's why I also say this goes back to the idea of the terrain, because how much long, if you have a terrain that's suitable for both Punisher and Batman, then it only takes so much amount of time before those bullets dry out.
Right.
And so it's like, well, how effective do you have to be and how fast you have to act just to start popping off? Because if Punisher gets pissed off, then that's going to be a quick session of bullets being outdrawn real quick just to take a shot. So again, with that comes with patience to be a marksman at that point. Does you have patience to really have a long, enduring fight of trying to find and hide and play hide and go seek every single time? Because Batman don't give a freak. He can stay there if he wants to. It don't matter. This is all about winning, right? If this is about winning, then hey, Batman's got a Batarang and swing somewhere.
Yeah. All right, Wally. The question you were asking, anyone who served in the military that fought MMA and won a title, there's only one person. When I looked it up and I was going through this one particular list, there's only one person that comes to mind. Randy Couture.
See, thank you very much. One name, and it's a good name, but that's one name. You see what I'm saying? Look how much indifference that had to go back towards. So think about it. Randy Couture, we had to go back to the OG. That means what? the game has already developed to the point that most military that train into fighting is not that dense or high tier. In more cases than not, most of y'all military guys come as wrestlers, which most of y'all should have advantage in more cases when you ultimately split back from grappling up to striking. So this is my whole point. That's why I'm sort of pinning that point. The idea of military is somewhat minute. I say somewhat. I'm not saying it doesn't matter. I'm saying somewhat it doesn't matter. Because again, everyone's different. Everyone works and process different. That's why.
I was asking Anton. I don't know if you've answered my question. When you were in the service, how much of your time was devoted to training for combat, whether it be hand-to-hand combat or with what are those things? Don't you guys use those baton things like from American Gladiators with the clubbing ends and stuff like that?
That only time you really use that is in basic training. That's like basically one of the introductions to hand-to-hand combat.
Right. And then but then the third part of that would be ongoing, because obviously you're going to learn a lot of stuff doing basic training and whatnot. But I'm talking about you and your everyday. Are you training every day like a martial artist or a boxer or a wrestler in combat to be combat ready when it's required? Well, that's what those guys do. I mean, if you're talking about certainly on a high amateur level or professional level, you may take your breaks here and there just to kind of, especially after a fight, but that's what you spend all your time doing. In the military, I don't know how much time that you spend to honing your craft of fighting.
It's usually going to vary by what your MOS is, your job status is. Like anyone that's in a line unit, that's basically in a line group, like 11 Bravo, which is infantry, 19 Delta, which is a cavalry scout. Most of those guys are going to be doing a good amount of hand-to-hand combat, especially guys in special operations. The Rangers, Green Berets, those guys will be doing hand-to-hand combat a little bit more often than everybody else. And plus also at the same time, what people don't realize, a good number of these individuals who serve also take martial art, also are involved in martial arts on the outside as well. So they take what they learned on the outside and apply it to when they're in the training. So it's always going to vary. There are a couple people I know, like one person that I was mentoring, Alex. This guy's younger than me. Graduated with my brother, one of his friends from school for a long time. Before I got out, I was mentoring him and everything else. And he was also training, and he was a wrestler in high school. So I get where Wally's coming from in that. And then he took jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, Taekwondo, and Judo. And he's found a way to use each discipline to help the others. So usually it's always going to vary. Some guys take private lessons on their own. Some guys take what they learn while they're in, especially if they're in one of those units where they're always going to have to deploy and may have to put that into use just in case. So usually it's always going to vary.
So just to understand the platform here. So Peter was the only one that voted for Frank Castle, aka Punisher, or
I think so.
Yeah, I believe he did. I actually went with Batman because I've always been a fan of Batman's discipline when it comes to what he does. He knows he can cross that line, but he knows once he crosses that line, that's it. It's that point of no return. So he's always going to do whatever it takes to make sure he doesn't cross that line. And like perfect example, if you ever saw the movie Under the Red Hood, when he and Nightwing were at Arkham confronting the Joker, he grabbed him up, and you knew he could have do some serious damage. And then Joker looked at him saying, "Are you going to do it this time, or are you going to put me in another full body cast for 6 months?" And that's basically how far Batman can go if he wants to. But that also shows how disciplined he is because he knows what he is capable of. And I remember what some people feel like, I think it was the movie Justice League Doom, where Mirror Master got access to his file, basically which was sub-level 7 on how to have countermeasures against the Justice League. And a lot of them were angry with him on that. And he says, if you feel like that what I did was wrong, then I don't need to be here. And then people forget, and he said at the end before he left the Watchtower, he said, what happens what happens if you go rogue? There is something. It's called the Justice League. Basically, he's saying if I ever cross that line, all y'all have the capabilities to stop me.
Very true. But I will say this, and this is one of the things that I also sort of like have to come into parts with, and that's what you put into the idea right there when you said about the Joker, is that this is the whole point. Like, if this is a fight about killing people, right, at this point, then yeah, you're more likely going to give it to Frank Castle because he's going to go for that. But if you're also talking about just beating people, I mean, I'm sorry, the way how Batman, like, if you ever played the game and anything else, like, this is the type of man that's just there that will literally break your arms, break your legs, break anything he has to just to sit you down and leave you there until someone come pick you up.
I remember there was I don't think it was in Justice League. I'm trying to remember where I saw it. There was a part when Superman tried to confront him and he flipped him, and Clark was caught on guard.
Yeah, but that should never happen. That should never happen. That him flipping Superman should never happen. Though.
I don't know. I mean, one of the things I remember he said was, it don't matter how strong you are, how fast you are, in every sense of the word. One thing is always for certain. We are all victims of gravity. And the thing is, Batman is one of those individuals where just his scowl alone will make you scared of him.
Well, yeah, but that's because Batman knows a lot of people are just jokers. I mean, well, chokers. Because you got to think about it. This is what I'm saying. Like, Batman is the true definition of I will call your bluff because I know you're a chump. And in that sense of saying, look, Batman can know Superman can kill him in an instant, but he won't do it because he knows his nature. He knows he's a chump. At least he was raised like that. If he was raised like his alien hometown, like Supergirl was, that would be a whole different notion. He knows he's gonna do it. But the same thing like the Flash. Batman also knows the Flash. He can murder multiple people, but the thing is, he's a goofball. He won't ever do it. He knows he's a bluffer.
Right.
And that's the thing. He knows a lot of people are some big bluffers. No matter what, like anything that you have about you, don't ever consider yourself a tough guy in front of him because he will call out your bluff.
He's always froggy. In other words, he's always froggy. You want to leap? Yeah, I'm going to leap. Let's see what you're going to do now.
Oh yeah, and this is why his interrogation, like his motif when it comes to interrogating, is so high. Like, granted, again, this is like just make believe as far as the storytelling, but even when it came to freaking what's the I keep forgetting his name. Darkseid. He even buffed the most dangerous person in the world.
That's true.
And to even bluff him, even though technically he probably wasn't bluffing, that in itself is even worse.
Yeah, because Darkseid did say no one has ever escaped the fate of my Omega Beam, and he was just like, impressive.
Well, yeah, but let's be honest. The Omega Beam part, I don't believe he escaped it. I believe that just is some fact that it was like a countermeasurement of timing. Because you got to think about it. If it was any more seconds earlier, he could have just redirected it and just keep on going. But that's also an understanding of knowing how that works, how far can it really go. You know, those are just measurements. So that's the only difference.
I think what it is, because Batman is so disciplined, like I said, he is so disciplined in everything he does, it's almost impossible to stop him. Almost impossible. And I remember reading somewhere of all the people Batman has ever played against in chess, how many people have defeated him?
Is not possibly none, maybe one.
And who do you think that person was? Say again?
No, I was thinking, I don't know who they mentioned, but because to me, at least to my thought process, is neither his father or neither his butler, but that's probably it.
No,
I can think about.
No.
Oh yeah, who?
Mr. Terrific.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's obvious because Mr. Drake's too smart.
Hey Wally, where do you come down on the whole? Because you made a comment earlier. If it's about just killing or whatever, then Frank may have an edge or whatever. Where do you come down on the Batman doesn't kill kind of deal? Because obviously there have been cases, certainly in storyline, in movies, where he's done so.
Well,
But where do you fall on that? Because that was something I level set as well. I took the no kill thing out of the equation, which certainly made me much more easily choose Batman to win. If you're gonna take those those limitations off, then it's a no brainer.
Well, yeah, if you take the limitations off, it's no brainer. But the thing is this, though. I think this is the issue with a lot of people when they think you have to take the no kill rule off of Batman to make him more of a winner. And the thing is, you don't. Again, I just mentioned this earlier. He will just because he doesn't kill, that doesn't mean he want to decapitate you. He will go as far as again. Think about tactics of like getting or making people squeal, breaking your arm, breaking your leg, breaking a finger. Like he will go to those extents just to break you mentally and physically. So. Just in a sense of combat, like being able to be broken in like an arm or anything in that, and then see if someone's willing to keep on fighting, that takes a lot. Most people will just say, I quit, just for their own survival. So that's why I don't really, like, for me, I never have to think about, take Batman's kill rule off. I'm like, no, I don't have to think about that because it's not needed. Now, again, depending on the character, it may be needed. Like, okay, if you're talking about Superman, yeah, you're gonna have to take that whole thing off because now that's a different conversation. Because that's Superman.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about someone that is equally level to Batman, no, I don't have to take that off because it's enough.
I looked it up and I actually found this on Microsoft. They had this in a fight between Batman and the Punisher. The outcome is often debated amongst fans. Batman has superior combat skills, resources, and a strategic mind, which would give him an edge in most scenarios. The Punisher, on the other hand, employs lethal methods and has extensive military training, which could pose a significant threat if he manages to close the distance. Ultimately, while both characters are evenly matched in terms of capabilities, Batman's no-kill policy and technical advantages would likely lead him to victory in most encounters. Thus, many argue that Batman would win 9 out of 10 times due to durability and preparation. And that was something that I found when I looked.
That's the sad part about it. They always add the preparation. So to take away the preparation, it's technically 7 out of 10 times.
Yeah.
Like, no, seriously, take off preparations. If we're gonna do an actual fight, we put in these people. If you're talking about in-person preparation, fine. But overall, they're just knowing that much preparation. But I mean, look, because one thing I will push this on, because even going back to what Mr. Bennett, what you said about the idea of taking the no-kill rule off. This is also another thing that I also want to pinpoint on this is you have to ask yourself who had the quote-unquote no-kill rule or who had that premise on them. Because again, there's different formats of Batman.
Right.
There is Batman, a.k.a. Bruce Wayne's father, which definitely had the I will kill you rule. I will kill you. But then you have Bruce Wayne, and then Bruce Wayne doesn't have it. So my thing is, you have to also pinpoint what Batman you're talking about.
Oh, that's another
thing. So that's why I don't again, when people are talking about Batman, who is the Batman? Bruce Wayne. So you have to have Killer. You have to have
you're talking about Flashpoint, aren't you?
Well, yeah, but still, it's a different version of the comic where that's the only Batman, as I know of so far, that will put you in the dirt. Other than that, is Owlman, which is technically, ironically, Bruce Wayne's brother in a different format of comics. Yeah. So that's why I sit here and say, you have to keep the no-kill.
Well, I also mentioned early on that it seems like certainly in that golden age of DC, I don't think any of the characters really were known for killing people, whereas Marvel seemed to be a lot grittier, a lot more anti-hero or those kind of characters that didn't have those limitations on them. So again, you could also be talking about periods. At least that's
yeah, I mean, we can say that, but here's the thing, though. That's somewhat like that's not ultimately that much true. And the reason why I say that, yes, Pat, you're correct.
You're
That's
right. If you never saw Flashpoint Paradox, that's definitely an anime. A DC
Yeah.
you should check out.
But the thing
Yeah,
is,
he did a couple other versions too, but I've always seen a Flashpoint. But we're coming towards the end of the show. Let's start getting our final thoughts. Let's go Greg, Anton, Paul, then Wally. All right, guys?
All right.
All right, Greg.
Well, I always believed Batman was always the best character. It'll beat any bugger. Not much to say about that. Sorry. I'm done with it. Sorry.
All right. This has always been one of those debates
still be
that we're going to have with people who are big fans of comic books and everything else, whether it's going to be Frank Castle or Bruce Wayne. I'm always going to admire Bruce Wayne, Batman, of course, because of his discipline. The fact that he's taken a significant amount of time to learn how to fight. He's learned many different variations of martial arts. The fact that he's learned so many things in a significant amount of time, and he learns to apply them in his day-to-day life, not just making sure he's always in shape, but he's always aware of what's going on and making sure that he's always 1 or 2 steps ahead of him. And even when you think you are 2 steps ahead of him, he's already came up with a plan to make sure he's 2 steps ahead of that plan as well. So I've always respected Batman's discipline, his no-kill policy, which is known and understandable. And also, I have to respect the fact that he has ways of making sure of completing a job. And that's no disrespect to Frank Castle. The Punisher. He's also someone that's very well skilled in certain tasks and knows how to apply them in other ways as well. And I think the difference between the two is while Batman is willing to do whatever it takes not to cross that line, Frank Castle doesn't have a problem crossing that line. And he's probably crossed it so many times that line is blurred to the way it no longer exists. But either way, I've always been a fan of, like I said, the discipline. Because if you're able to do a lot of things that Batman can do, it's too easy to make sure that you lay out some type of pain in any way, shape, or form whatsoever to anybody who may have wronged you. But at the same time, the fact that he has that and the reason he has it, it's a reminder to let him know you are capable of crossing that line. But he's making sure that he does it. And he's going to go as far as he can to make sure that anything that needs to get done will get accomplished. And that's all I got to say. And those are some words worth thinking about.
Well, first of all, I think we need to take a hiatus. It's Frank Castle versus the world, right? So we need some more versus someone off of the Punisher space or whatever. I think we well all know who Frank Castle is, his background, and all that kind of stuff. But let's move on to a more interesting.
This is the last. This is the last one.
Okay. So
it just happened when I did the shows. A bunch of them just came.
I got you. And look, Punisher is a popular character. Like I said, I would love. Listen, Marvel, if you're listening, I'll continue to do. I'll do Frank Castle every week if you want us to. Give us some merch, give some T-shirts, some passes to Comic-Con, whatever you want. We'll wear Frank Castle shirts, all of us on the show. We will sponsor the Frank Castle Hour on this network. So again, if you want to hook us up, that's totally fine with what
Pat put out.
Batman can date one of Lois and anyone simultaneously if you want to.
You can get anybody. Come on now.
Yeah, because Superman's a bit of a Boy Scout, and so I don't know. And I think I would do. Yeah, I would agree with that. Certainly, Bruce might be. In fact, I'm trying to think. Now here's a show.
Good boy.
Batman versus or Bruce Wayne versus Tony Stark.
Ooh.
When it comes to the ladies. That might be a good versus to think about in the future. So,
Can you imagine Paul in Superman's
comic book
outfit?
character gets the most women? That might be a good hangout show going forward.
I'm with it.
But in any event, but I'm choosing Batman. Even though certain circumstances I think are they sometimes go over the top with it, but yeah, in this, he's physically stronger, the better athlete overall, more fighting style, more experience, more of everything over Frank Castle, and so I would certainly give him the edge in any encounter, whether it be hand-to-hand combat, definitely in an alley where it's dark, or in any space where they can move around. I think Batman checks almost every box with the exception of the marksmanship. And again, if Frank is coming with armor-piercing bullets on top of that, then that can get a little dicey also, because Batman's cowl wouldn't be able to necessarily protect him if he's got some serious armor-piercings tech in his arsenal. So, but good show, good discussion. But yeah, that's what I got.
Mm-hmm. What are your
final thoughts? Let me at least touch this point. So the idea of like the comic book eras of what may seem or predict like who had the more of the quote unquote Kane spring. Look, I don't think so. That's really like there, like it's shown there like that to a certain point, because I think on both ends of the stick, both of them never really touched the quote unquote, K matter. And if so, let's be honest here, wherever stories you can read about Hulk, then you should expect more just because of how raw of a person he is. So, pick and chooses based on how you like, based on certain characters. Because even with characters like Wolverine, even in most of his, like, yeah, he got the claws, but rarely do you really ever see him really put them claws over somebody and you see blood. So in this case, you also have to think to yourself, how far were these comics sold to adults before they swapped over and sold it to kids? Because the only time when the actual quote unquote K's come into play were in the live action, more adult rated movies. For example, X-Men 2, when Wolverine had to put them claws right into freaking Jean Grey / Phoenix. I mean, those are very few moments of actual killing, but those are one and none's have no choice type matters. Keyword: have no choice, not having a choice in doing it. It was a have no choice order, pretty much. So, yeah, I mean, if you really look back at it, I don't think one was more indoctrinated in the quote unquote Kane spring more than the other. It was just more of, you have to pinpoint characters for me at this point, because I don't see this as anyone had more of a killing spree than the next person, honestly. Because especially when you think about most of these characters and what they can do, and then if you put logic on it, technically most of these people should be dead just fighting almost any of these people one way or another, in more cases than not. So yeah, nah. But look, as far as going back to the Batman versus Punisher, look, one thing's for sure about this whole argument between the two. Both the two are pretty much close in visuals one way or another. Of course, most people would be in favor of Punisher because of the grit of the grit and gore of just really being able to see someone be bloody up. And again, this is one of those many adult type characters that really get with the works. And that is for sure. You know what I'm saying? And Batman, he can get with the works, but he's not getting in the works where he's actually allowing you to see a lot of the gore to a high extent because of the fact that it's too close to quote unquote death at his own bare hands. But one thing's for sure also in this whole thing of debates between the two is this is not a 10 out of 10 fight. And if this was, then of course you understand, like, this is how you know, like, this is a clean sweep for Batman. But it's not a 10 out of 10 fight. again, I'm not saying Punisher don't have has not a chance in winning, but the problem is most of his chances of winning that most people would label are sort of contradictions depending on certain situations. For instance, one of the many contradictions is the ambush potential, but the problem is even if you're, like I said, you put these two in a terrain that fits both of them, and if Punisher is working in a terrain where he can have a sniping position and explosive positions, but the thing is, like, let's say Punisher is able to put in work on setting up a tripwire bomb location. I mean, Batman has the tech to actually see through certain wires if they're there or not, and all that other stuff. So he ends up falling for that. I neither take that as he neither did that willingly or neither he automatically just didn't thought of using his gear to question tripwiring, because he wouldn't think that Punisher wouldn't do it fast enough to set something up like that. But hey, pick and choose how you look at that. Then of course, like I said, like military experience, again, those come near and dear. I mean, you take a shot with any of that, depending on how far you go into that. So again, I'm not discrediting it. I'm just saying take credit in how far you go into that. But overall, in all case matter points, look, this is not like I said, it's not a clear sweep, but it is the more dominant sweep where Batman wins more times than Punisher does. So, and plus, let's be honest, in an endless fight between when distance is being played, eventually you have to come back down and be like, okay, strip the guns, strip the weaponry, strip all this, and let's just do straight hand-to-hand combat. And at that point, this is where it's like, okay, yeah, let's wire it down. But yeah, that's where I'm gonna go with that. Ladies and gentlemen, have a nice day, and hopefully enjoy the conversation.
Appreciate you, Wally.
I want to thank everybody who came up in that time to help us. You okay, Anton? You're a little catnap there, buddy?
It's been a long.
I'm gonna start calling you David 2.0 now. But let's do a quick schedule and get up here. And I'm gonna surrender my defeat. I lost this match
again.
I haven't lost.
Hello. Finally.
Yeah, shut up over there. Okay, so tomorrow we're talking about online dating on the gray.
Online dating.
Yeah, let's move on to the next. We will be having a wrestling show on Monday, and on Tuesday we're gonna be talking about privacy versus transparency. What should you know, and how much should you know? And on Wednesday, we are having a special Operation Hangout show with Michael Trove. I apologize for pronouncing that. He is a award-winning short film director, so I'm looking forward to having him. And on Thursday, Paul, you want to go over that?
Yeah, Next Gen Training is back. I think we had a big kickoff show this past week. We're dealing with the subject of anger management. Last week's show basically dealt with, again, identifying who you are, because we think a lot of anger mismanagement comes from, again, people's insecurities and not being comfortable or familiar with who they are. We're going to have a part 2 in our anger management series, so we ask you guys certainly to join us Thursday 9:30 here on the Sparty HQ Network, Eastern Standard Time, for part 2 of a 5-part series on anger management. So, definitely good to be back with the coach, and good to be, giving hopefully good information out. We pass the information out. Again, what we said before we started the show, what we're doing in our true belief is this isn't about now. This is about later. And so the idea here is that we're planting seeds now. We're putting content that could be shared, that it may not necessarily impact you now, but it could impact you later. So we really put a lot into these shows to give good content, and we hope that they plant into people, good seeds that'll, have a crop later on. Go back and look at our whole. I think we have a playlist of all our next gen training shows. So again, make sure we share that link as much as possible, and you can go back and look over every show that we've done. And I can honestly say that every show that we've done, I've been very proud of. Me and Coach, we have certainly a compassion for everybody, but particularly for young people trying to make it in this world. and we just want people to be better. And so, we really put our hearts into this. So, really share that content with people who could benefit from it.
Awesome. And for next week on Up Person Hangout, we'll be talking about Close Out, the Power of the Legend of the Wolverine. So we're going to be breaking it down from the beginning to the end. Except that, guys, this was the Spartan SU Network. I'm the Spartan. He is my man, Greg, Anton, Mr. President, and Wally. As always, stay fresh, stay safe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.
Yeah, have a good
Bye.